Democracy is in danger. The risk is from all politicians with criminal background. Rising influence of criminals on politics. Even though people are aware of candidates' criminality, they vote for them. A gangster who was part of the coal mafia in Bihar's Dhanbad made a successful political switch. Why political parties allowed it to happen? Why do people vote for them? Democracy is in danger. I don't know if you took it seriously or agreed with it, but I will say that if there is any risk to democracy, it is not from a single party or an individual politician, but the risk is from all politicians with criminal background. Such politicians are present in all parties and across the country. And that may be the reason why no political party is crying about it. One of the unique features of India's politics is the rising influence of criminals on politics. In the last parliament, approximately 40% of elected members of parliament had criminal cases against them, and 2/3 of them had serious charges. The Election Commission has tried to bring about changes, but they haven't and will not change significantly unless the psychological factors behind them is well understood. For that, we need to see how the problem started. This information is taken from a research article. I have included a link of that article in the description. So, the problem began soon after we got independence. In the first national elections, politicians brought in people with antisocial backgrounds as their agents. The agents helped the politician managing the elections by threatening opponents and manipulating ballot boxes. After a few years, those antisocial elements decided to enter the politics instead of working for those politicians. This happened for a few reasons. The first was the rise of identity politics, especially the identity politics of religion. Another was the rising cost of elections. However, the most crucial factor was the survival of those criminals. It so happened that although Congress party was the most dominant party in those days, political opposition against Congress began getting stronger. Because of that, criminals allied with Congress party were at risk of losing protection from their political bosses. If the politician boss was not elected, the criminals were at risk of action from the law or revenge from their rivals. The obvious solution was for criminals to take the matters into their own hands. That's why they entered politics. For example, a gangster who was part of the coal mafia in Bihar's Dhanbad made a successful political switch and won elections from 1977 onwards. Such transitions of criminal into politics have been spreading since then. However, this did not happen just for the sake of criminals to survive. You may wonder why political parties allowed it to happen. The reason is that political parties needed the muscle power to do their groundwork. Then, they needed money because elections were becoming expensive. And the third factor is parties needed candidates with higher chances of winning the elections. And some criminals became smart in that art. While threatening and intimidating were once the modus operandi of criminal politicians, they changed tactics to non-aggressive methods. It's essential to understand that not all criminals can survive in politics. Criminal must possess a particular mindset and good organizational skills to succeed in politics. Simply being aggressive doesn't work. Those who develop those skills survive. So far, we have seen why criminals entered politics and why parties accepted them. Still, an important question remains: why do people vote for them? Let's start with a simple explanation. Voters vote for them because they are not aware of the candidate's criminality. One can argue that it is possible due to illiteracy and not everyone has good access to media. But this may be the case in the past. Nowadays, mobile and social media have changed the scenario. There can be another reason, which is voters succumb to the threats and dictates of the strongman. Again, there may be few voters falling into this category. But the most valid reason is this: wherever there are problems of law and order and voters are divided in different sections, politicians use their criminality to do whatever it takes to protect a selective group's interests. These groups may be specific religions or castes. A question is, how do these politicians protect a group's interest? This protection involves politicians doing the work of a government is supposed to do. For example, policing to give safety to people, or providing basic civil facilities like a place to live. Thus, these politicians allow illegal slums or unauthorized constructions and protect the criminal activities of a particular group. They also resolve dispute among the people and provide public services such as running an ambulance service. For all these reasons, even though people are aware of candidates' criminality, they vote for them. Candidates' criminality is not only well known, but it is the reason for voters to vote for that candidate. No wonder some politicians use their criminality as a badge of honor. One such politician said to a journalist on camera, "I am a mafia man. How can I follow Mahatma Gandhi? 40 cases are lodged against me, but I want to help public and that's what I do." All this may remind some of Robin Hood, and they may think, what is wrong if some Robin Hoods are in the politics? But if you look at it broadly, you will find that quite a few things are wrong with such politicians. When lawmakers are also among the lawbreakers, it seriously impacts the perception of the rule of law. If people see that the law can be openly broken without consequences, it encourages others to disrespect the rules. Second, when people elect politicians from criminal background, research shows that it slows down development in that constituency, especially economic progress. More importantly, the more serious the criminal charges of the politicians, the lesser is the economic growth. The third reason is, when it comes to helping people, criminal politicians help only a few people who are their core supporters. Thus, the benefits are limited to people from specific castes or religions. The basic fact is, those politicians survive by exploiting the divisions in the society, not by resolving them. Their survival depends on looking after a small group of people rather than population at large. Moreover, criminal politicians are a double-edged sword even for their core supporters. While the government is expected to provide many services to everyone, these politicians take over the role of government for few services and for few people. And they also make sure that government services do not function well. Politicians know that they lose their importance if the government starts functioning well. Here is an example of Italian mafia. The mafia came into existence due to lack of trust among people. People used to be unsure and worried if the other person would honor a commitment. Mafia started taking that responsibility that commitments were honored. When the mafia members became established, it was in their interest that mistrust between people remained. Thus, they deliberately created problems among people. The same applies to criminal politicians. It is in their interest that subgroups of society remains divided. Whenever those politicians see that harmony is building up between the communities, they do or say something to disturb it. I hope this video has given you a different perspective. Please click on the like icon if you liked it. Share, subscribe, and click on the bell icon. Thanks for watching.